Welcome to people in the room. Thank you for tuning in. That's great to see people joining us. It's exciting. You're on with the Armchair Pundits, Norton, Katherine White, here to talk about what's on our mind. Just two regular gals just shooting the shit.
Mhm. And I love that too, because I think people hear from all of the famous pundits all the time, but you sort of wonder what people like us, what are everyday people thinking about and talking about and hearing about in the spaces that we occupy
We,
in the land of regular people.
well, I have to tell you, so we both were talking about New Year's and taking breaks, and I went to the beach, just got back, and on my way home, I got a baby puppy. I don't know a name for her yet, and I think how crazy can you be, but with the everything going on in this world, and maybe I'll have to bring her on later, but I got a puppy. I already have a 4-year-old dog. So, and what do you have over there?
So yeah, so this is really funny because when I wrote a piece this week and I
Right.
as I was looking around, I saw people just doing all of the regular things, and I like everybody is shopping, everybody is out and about, and I'm like, do they have any idea what's happening in the world? And then I'm on this annual vacation that I take with my mom, my sister, and my niece, and this year we have the 2-year-old baby. And I kept thinking, Jesus, I'm here, but I'm mad guilty about being here because I feel like whatever I should be doing, it probably shouldn't be this. But then this is exactly what I should be doing
Yeah.
because everybody needs an opportunity to recover and to start to get ready to get focused for all the work that is ahead.
Yeah.
And I think people like us do carry extra burden because we stay so informed. We try to be informed about what's happening. And when you are informed, you have a heavier burden than the people who choose to be disengaged or not talking about politics or not paying attention to what's happening.
Well, and I have to say, I always think, okay, how bad does it have to get till people really engage? And we will get to the invasion of Venezuela. And it's really strange in this new year when right at the beach, I made a post about New Year's heading into it with some, really determined to, like you said, really doing this every day for 10 years, really making sure that we take time. And everybody on this call, I know a lot of you are just doing shit every day and busy, but you do need to take time for yourself. And we did really, I think, try to do that somewhat. But then I'm thinking, I don't know why I didn't expect this invasion of Venezuela, but I said to myself, it shook me up because this is something that feels like we passed the Rubicon, like, okay, if you're asleep now, at this point, I'm just was so mad at everybody. I was like, really,
So let me tell you what I thought when I was actually writing something,
Right,
and and then something popped across my screen because I hadn't really turned the TV on because I was trying to
right.
just detach for a bit. And when it came across, I the only thing that I thought to myself was, will people understand what's happening in this moment? And I have to tell you, Catherine, and I'm so sorry to tell you,
Yeah.
that about 6 out of 10 people will have no idea what happened, and they will have no idea why it mattered. And the whole point is, what I think in the simplest terms is, why are we going over there to get a monster when we already have a monster here?
Yeah.
And so the point is that there is a very, very specific strategy behind this because the first thing that I thought of was,
Right,
okay, this is all about distraction. This is distracting us from the things that are happening right now. We know that the Epstein files are on fire. We
right,
know that people are talking about affordability and groceries and all the things that are not happening that should be happening. We're unhappy with what's happening with immigration. And this is not just Democrats, this is Republicans and independents. So
right.
there needs to be a distraction. And the distraction is, hey, they're way worse over there. And so I'm going to make us all safer by doing this thing that there is a whole heap of hypocrisy right behind it. So
Well,
that was my thought.
What I am really we can go deep on this because we think about in our time with Iraq when Republicans brought us into that war, and we all remember that day with Saddam Hussein, when that thing started, and it's the same stuff that they were saying about Iraq that you hear them saying about Venezuela. Um, now it's narco terrorism and whatever. I do think this is really different because I think about Eisenhower back after World War II, the kind of world we set up with NATO to stop this kind of going across borders and invading each other, which led to a lot of wars. And I've talked about my great uncle John, who died on the beaches of Utah. He was on Utah Beach. He was 23 years old, Italian immigrant, and went from America. I mean, my whole family immigrated over here, and then he went to fight, obviously, the Nazis. And I thought to myself, if these boys can come to life, what would they be thinking right now when you see these people that are really, it's a bigger kind of line that they're crossing? Because, yeah, when we went over to Iraq, if you remember, we did bring our partners along, even though a lot of it was bull crap and the idea about democracy, but we did try to bring our bigger partners along. We talked to our allies about this move, and we did this little, remember, go on, look at the yellow powder with Colin Powell. This is different. This is really a ruling of the hemisphere on one side of the globe, and I think these people that are doing this, and I think it's a distraction, but it is really something when you're talking about Marco Rubio was getting into, "Oh, let's go into Cuba, let's go into Mexico." I think Trump wants to dominate this side of the hemisphere, so, I mean, I feel like it is bigger than a distraction.
Yeah,
I
well, it is. It's the worst kind of distraction that you
Yeah.
can have because he there's a reason behind it.
Right.
But what I think is, though, yes, it's bigger than a distraction, but it introduces chaos.
Yes,
And so if you think about how people were feeling because of it,
yes,
people are feeling like, "Oh my God, where do we go from here? All is lost." And I think that was the initial feeling that you have is like, There is nothing we can do. This is way out of hand."
yeah,
And the point is that that's where they want us to go. They want us to go where you feel like, you become cynical and you just think, "I'm just throwing up my hands. There is nothing else to be done." And then when you have on top of it, just like someone sent a message and said, someone said, "Oh, the Democrats are getting together
right,
and they're going to figure out how they need to message around this." Well, someone said, "We need more than messaging, we need action." Well, at the end of the day, I just want to say that the Democrats have no power in the House and they have no power in the Senate and they have no power on the executive side. So yeah, it's really important that they deliver a message, and that message does include action. The message itself is action if it's the right message.
right,
It's also the actions that they can do in terms of visibility and what they can say and what they can do, and really how they can engage with other leaders across the country because they have little ability. We have to really think seriously about what they do. However, the states have the ability to act on their behalf. So there are things that they can do, but we shouldn't fool ourselves about the fact that they have decisive action that they
well,
can take other
let's
than the justice system.
okay, let's get into that because I think your article the other day brings me to this thought that how we could debate, when people say, "Well, Democrats don't have this and they're not in charge." And yeah, that is very true. But there are lots of things we can do and lots of levers they can pull. Because Mondami, for instance, I love that right away he got on TV. He actually called the president. He goes, "I know you're bringing, you know, this guy and his wife here. You're bringing the Venezuelan leader there, but he was made to think about it. He says, "I don't like it." And he told him why. When you have leaders right there, take him on and put it into the light. I think that's really good. I think that there is a lot of power that we do have. Even Abigail Spanberger, you see people that are governors are coming out. You see Democratic, the Virginia party, I think our party has made a stand. I think we do the messaging on it. I think we can also, as people, I really feel like this is the time we got to take the streets. I think that the world needs to see that the people aren't happy with this. Because truthfully, in the end, your article, let's talk about that. And what was the title of it? I asked you.
So I know I wrote it down because it
I
was so
wasn't
long.
looking at
The name of the article is "Why Would People
right,
give total power to a president? Why would you give that power to a president? Why would people do it?" And I do want to be clear in saying that you're absolutely right. Those are the actions. They can't take any kind of legislative
right,
action, but they can take action in terms of how they show up and how
Exactly.
they show out. And that is the action that people want to see, that I want to see, which is more than them standing at the
Right.
podium. But you fight bullies by coming at them. You
Yeah.
go at them. And I'm just going to tell you the best bully fighter, and it is with words, is certainly is in my view Jasmine Crockett, because
Oh,
she
yeah.
does it.
She
I mean,
does
she'll
it.
say, "I'm coming after you." I mean, she's not playing.
Yeah.
And I do think that this the stage that Jeffries and the Democrats take has to be a powerful one,
Yeah.
and they have to do that. But let's talk about the article, because I'm fascinated with understanding how people are letting this happen and why they voted for this man. Why did they do that? And there are real reasons, because I figure, well, we can't really figure out a solution until we figure out why people are doing this. And
Mhm.
when I started the article, I remembered, because it stuck in my mind about this one person that a reporter interviewed and said, "Hey, we're calling Trump a dictator and we're saying that it's going to be authoritarian leadership. What do you think about that?" And the man says, "Well, we need someone like that. We need to cut through the red tape." And so that is the premise, is that they believe that someone is going to take all of the pressure off of them. They don't have to get into the messy business of going through a democratic process where we talk about things, where you vote on things, where you compromise. They no longer want that. And so what they give up in that, ultimately, with these strong man leaders, and I tried to give examples of some of them and people who said, "Oh, I'm going to go with that." And what they find is that what they get in return, because people who do this never, ever, ever, ever end up standing up for the people. But the most interesting thing that I find the most disappointing is that when these kind of regimes come into place, it is always in place because they other someone. They find someone to attack that we can all get on the same page on, or all their people can get on the same page of. And we know that in this country, it's immigrants today, but it
Right.
is also anybody who they consider other.
Uh,
And so they're happy with that. And I think the other piece, as I was researching this, that I found to be just really disappointing is that they want to see them punished. And so these people have something in them that is cruel and mean and vindictive. And what I also found to be really interesting is that the people that they're othering, they'll bring some of them along with them. They'll bring along some Black, MAGA people, and some Asian Black MAGA people. They'll bring them all along. Not very many, but the whole point is to give other people who are sitting on the fence a sense of comfort. Oh,
right.
we're not really racist, and we're not really misogynistic. We're not really, because look, this person, they have these Black people with them too. So it's all very, very well methodical and thought out, but it brings these naive people along with them, and some people who are purposefully there. And the only way you fight it is is by bringing and shedding light on it. And that's our job.
Well, I think that's what struck me about the article was, I think in the moment of time where people were focusing on this invasion, and of course, for good reason, but you really brought us back to the why we're here now. And it's funny because without even me kind of realizing it, I was in the kind of same place. And I was saying to my family, but it did take me back to like why I was mad when Harris lost, because I was like, wait a minute, what the hell were these people thinking? These 20 million stupid fucking motherfucking people just vote, didn't show up to vote. And I'm thinking all the petty shit that they said, like, oh, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to show up to vote because Democrats can't do this right. And my shoe isn't shiny enough. It was just like every stupid reason why people didn't show up. And I know we can go on, but we've talked about a million times voter suppression, mind control, but in the end, it really killed me, that election, like how we got here. And I know it's 20 years in coming how we got here in a way. This coming all the way back to when the Supreme Court happened with Obama, not fighting quite enough, not seeing the cards ahead. It's like the chess game is playing out and we are just behind. Every time we got to somewhere, don't overstuff the Supreme Court. People will get angry. Don't do this. People are going to like react if we talk about, issues that affect minorities, like, so we're here because we have just trying to go to the middle too hard, not fighting and not really seeing what was in front of us. I mean, could you go back into time and ask people who complained that about the many reasons why they didn't quite like Harris? And we had talked about it. It's about race and racism. And here we are, dummies. We are in trouble. Like our whole democracy and all the years of how we built this 250-year experiment. And 77 million people decided to vote this way, and then twice. And what I'm saying to you is that we have to show up now in the streets, I think, like they do in Hungary and different places, or we are lost. Like,
Yeah,
my feeling. What
yeah,
am I just
yeah.
crazy? What?
No, no, that's exactly
Sorry, I
what
just
I'm.
feel passionate about it.
No,
Just
yeah, no passion, no
yeah,
passion. But that's exactly what I was saying in the article is that, at the end of the day, we have to figure out
right,
how we're going to have these conversations. Because remember, just think about it, the media is taking over. I mean,
right,
just think about
right,
it. So they've got all of these things. And so we have to figure out, they own it all, but we can't
right,
just give up. So we have to figure out what are you going to do?
right.
Now, I do think it starts at your kitchen table. It starts at my kitchen table. I was having a conversation with someone and they said, "Look, my head is just too full. I can't really deal with this right now." But okay, fine. As long as you vote, that's fine. But there probably is an audience of people that they are surrounded with who aren't paying attention
Right,
either. And so this is what they rely on, this whole disengaged group, a sense of laziness, a sense of my plate is too full, a sense of education. We've all been dumbed down in terms of what's made available to us and how we understand how the system works. And then we just sort of step away. And that is what happened. But I also just want to remind people that at the end of the day, no matter what these polls say to us,
mhm.
there's still, what, 70% of Republicans who are good with what is happening. They
Yes.
are still driving around with their Trump stickers.
Oh,
They are not moved. They are not moved. And they are not moved because we are not talking loud enough. Like we say, "Oh, we don't want to shame them, but we don't want them to feel bad because we want to." No, no, no. Some of you deserve some accountability for what has happened here. And I do think that is a matter of understanding your audience. So if you understand who you're talking to, there are times that you need to be bold. And you hear me talk about this righteousness and this
yeah,
indignation. That there is time for that too. But yeah, we have to shout louder and louder and louder and louder about what's happening. I'll give you a really quick example. Today, I was looking out the window and I was just watching people
right.
walk along the beach. And I thought to myself, um, well, when do I tell them that the house is on fire? And how do I tell them that the house is on fire? And would they
Yeah,
even care? Yeah, would they even care that the house is
right,
on fire? And so that is the point I'm trying to make. This is an all hands
right.
on deck play here. And I think we talked about this before. Where are the public service announcements that and when the person said action, what action can Democrats do? Yeah, give
Yes,
me the public service announcements, give me billboards across the country, give me people that you have paid to hand out flyers to every single door explaining what fascism is without using that word so that people get that their very liberties are going to be taken from them.
right,
You like rap music, you like to do this dance, you like to talk about this. Let me explain to you how that works. I just want you to think about Iran when the women
right.
used to be free to do whatever they wanted to do, and now they're dressed in head to toe in black, covered
Yeah.
up, and
Well,
they
no,
can't do.
Turkey too, they're coming, so actually Iran, we see that loosening up, but you're absolutely right. And I am just trying to I'm sorry, we have a little commotion over here, at the White House. But yeah, it is really, really time to I know I always say it, it's time to wake everybody the hell up. I do think there's an opportunity this year in this election. I'm wondering what you're thinking with this election coming up. If this was done to somehow make also interfere, like I was wondering, are they gonna will they use this wartime thing to shut things down? Like this, what are your thoughts about that?
I haven't thought about that in that way, but
Yeah,
that will be some of the powerful messaging that Democrats will need to have, that they will have to make sure that there is confidence around having an election. And I just think I don't know
yeah,
all of the things that should be done, but
right,
I know that there are things that should be done that we may not have done before. I know there are some historical things that we can go back to because, some of this is new in terms of some of the things that they're doing, but it's not. But we're not the same old people that were there before. We are different. We are smarter in a different kind of way with technology. But that doesn't mean that some of the old tactics and strategies that
right.
were used then shouldn't be the ones that are used now.
No, no, I agree. Because what I'm thinking is, first of all, we talk about New Year's, and I doubt here, I'm wondering when I look at Deborah Lewis and Nancy Hall's in the room. Nancy, I haven't been at church the last couple Sundays. I hope you've been okay without me. I've been on vacation, so I miss seeing Nancy and my friends at UCC. They give me such hope about the world. But anywho, I think about the New Year's, and we talked about New Year's resolutions. And in this room, I'm interested how many people made a resolution. And then now, after the invasion of Venezuela, has your resolution changed? I'm just laughing, but
Well, I'm glad you said that
right?
because
Seriously, how's it
I'm
changed?
glad you said that because
Yeah, yeah,
I saw that Lauren Burke joined from Black
yeah, I
Virginia
know.
News, and I had actually read Black Virginia News, and they were the resolutions that I liked the most, and so I thought, oh, I'm going to make sure that I talk about that tonight because that's what I want. I want to think about that, and she talked about moving into the new year with optimism and with intention, and I thought. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to know that I have resilience and wisdom to thrive. Moving with intention, confidence, and trust in my work is helping those who need it. So I thought, yeah, if I was going to have a New Year's resolution, Lauren Burke, that's what I would have is
Well, I just
thinking about
sent
that.
an invite. Now, we've not tried to invite a third party, so we're experimenting tonight. So if Lauren, if you get we just sent you an invite if you wanna join us up here. Be fun to listen to what you have to say. Again, we're not this is only like our 5th time going live, but this will be fun if Lauren can join us, so we'll see if she gets it. But I mean, when I think about and I really mean that because I felt all this optimism about this year in the election, and I do and then when I heard this news, it really changed my brain, and then I'm thinking about when people make resolutions, 62% of people are like they feel pressured into making resolutions, and then, people start to break them. I already broke mine 3 days in, you know?
Well, I know we only have like 7 minutes and
Yeah,
I
we
wanted to say this, and I do want to say hello to everybody who's out there. It's really
yeah,
exciting that folks are joining us. Um, and that is this. I thought about, how we get out of this mess, and you talked about the Supreme Court and fighting harder.
yes,
And sometimes the decisions of the Supreme Court really bring you down. But we know that our elections, our state elections that are coming up, is really where the power begins. And so we've got that to look forward to. But I also just wanted to say that there have been times in history where Supreme Court decisions have been overturned. And so I don't want people to feel so cynical like we
yeah.
had nowhere to go. At the end of the day, the big part of this solution will be the Supreme Court and getting it, made in a way that actually reflects the people. But
Right.
but but but
Well,
people
let me
should
say
be
something about
confident.
that too. Like, look, already, I don't know if people in the audience have heard this, but remember when Kavanaugh made that decision how you can pull people over by what they look like and sound like. And then he got a little bit kind of freaked out because people started calling that the Kavanaugh stop. So in the last decision that they made in the Supreme Court, he put a footnote on that. So people do change when they feel the pressure on them to change. And I do think in this moment it is the time I think we have to really feel like what it will be like. It's gonna get a little worse, I think. I'll have to say that I think we have to be willing to really put our bodies in the line in some degree, realize that we may need to show up in a huge way if this gets I think it's going to get interestingly worse because the United States government has put themselves in a pretty seriously quandary of how to get out of this, right? And they're just gonna dig themselves deeper, let's say that. But I do think that it is up to we the people. Your article made me understand that again, that the executive branch has taken all this power. People have given the power away. The Supreme Court has failed us. Congress has really failed us. We're getting that power back they know they know we want that power. So I think we need to be prepared for them playing dirty, dirty, dirty. And because once we get it, we have to be prepared to use it and use it in a way where we take no prisoners. I think that's what we should definitely do. Okay.
So Catherine,
While you can. It's just,
so let me say this to you as you were talking about the Supreme Court and you talked about the Kavanaugh stop.
yeah,
Culture, they won't tell you that, but
right.
culture really does move the Supreme Court.
Yes, it
And
does.
so I do think that there is an opportunity for us. Like we said, talk about what can people do? We have the opportunity. We send through postcards for Virginia and other groups. We send hundreds of thousands, millions of postcards. We can educate people about the Supreme Court and how it works, teach them to understand what it does and how it affects them. And if they can't move them in Congress, we can move them through, you know, shame and talking about them and letting people see transparently what kinds of things they're doing. And we haven't done that in a big way, and we can do that.
I think that's will be my New Year's resolution is to really do that, millions of postcards to the Supreme Court and all that. And I agree to you that we need to get super like information out. We should do it that way because we have the ability to. So I am also thinking I don't want to miss this opportunity today because when we talked about the New Year's, this administration and their plans, the great wins. Don't forget the wins that we had when we worked together. We flipped Virginia, New Jersey. Don't forget your power, people in this room, because when we work together, we do great things. This year, if taking Congress, then this is where we can also hold the Supreme Court accountable in a way. Remember they didn't want to subpoena Roberts. They were all afraid to bring Roberts. No, we can't be afraid of all that stuff anymore. But January 6th is Tuesday. And in 2 days is going to be another occasion to talk about the attack on our Capitol by the Trump administration. And, Jack Smith, his subpoena, why they did it behind closed doors. Who saw Jack Smith when it came out? You were able to see he stood his ground, and they are so afraid of what he said. And really, that man is going to go down in history as in a way as a saint, but as somebody holding to the truth, right? But that day is so important. What kind of not concerns me, and I think as activists, our radar should be up that this is happening. January 6th is Tuesday. Denver Riggleman, who is, if you watch him on Substack, pay attention on Tuesday, because if you follow him on Substack, Denver is planning to read the text from Mark Meadows. Denver Riggleman has the receipts on this administration. Denver Riggleman has read every text, and there's lots of them about the attack. So this is the time to put the pressure on all these people and really shine the light on their criminal activity, because it's not time to hide from it. It's time to get at it. And I'm going to end with that. Just get at it.
Yeah, that's what I would say, and I
Yeah.
think that's how I ended my letter this week
Yeah.
is that we have to be really visible, and we have to be loud, and we have to be powerful and standing our ground and letting people know what is happening. It's no longer the time to whisper about it. And I think that's really where it comes in to say, how do I talk about the things that I care about the most in the fewest words and be proud about it? I am not going to ever be ashamed to be a Democrat, because the Republicans and anybody who votes with the MAGA people,
Yeah.
they are horrible. And we should be really out front to say what kinds of things they are doing and how morally corrupt it is. And quite frankly, if you lay down and wallow with pigs, you get up with mud on you too. And people have to make a choice about if that's what they want to do. And
Yeah.
so, with all of that, even with all of that, as I try to rest and recuperate this week, I will be thinking about ways and things that I can do to be better at making sure that not only when we're knocking doors or when we're all the things that we do, how can we get better at helping people see and understand that the fire is on its way
Yeah.
upstairs?
I'm looking at Mary Redis. Mary, week 46, protesting Ben Klein's office in Roanoke tomorrow. We persist. I think that's what I love to see, and I'm gonna say to you that I called Rob Whitman, Congressman Rob Whitman from my car today. That's how pissed I was. I was like, "I'm calling everybody." I called Senator Warner. Everybody light the phone nuts. I think Heather Cox Richardson is correct. We gotta light the phone nuts. Tomorrow, Monday, make sure you're on calls. Call everybody, anybody that will answer, and just make sure that you're outraged over this government's illegal action. And I will say the language for now, you gotta talk about messaging. Messaging matters, and when they say that they kidnapped Maduro, they kidnapped him. They're kidnapping people on the streets, this administration. They're kidnapping Americans. They're putting them in concentration camps. Our government went to another sovereign country and kidnapped their leaders and took them here. We need to use the language that's really points out how crazy it is. I love that people joined us. I want to say our resolution will change every day to fit the moment. And Nancy says we got to hit the streets, and if we need to do it, we'll do it because I feel, you know, I feel pretty good that we need New Year's allows us to reflect on the past, and we've kicked ass. Let's say
Yes,
it.
we have.
We've kicked it. Reflect on your past, on the traditions of the grassroots. If you're in the room, we're going down the General Assembly on January 14th to celebrate the grassroots. Please join us at the General Assembly at 3:00. We're hosting an event to show grassroots how powerful we are. And we want to meet with the delegates that we helped get elected. That's next week in Virginia, if you're in Virginia. Support us on Substack. Follow us, subscribe to our stuff, spread it around because we're two regular ladies making a difference in the world because we do want a brighter, better future, and we're going to fight like hell for it.
Yay!
Yeah. Yay! And I'm going to go back and just be with my puppy, and you're going to go back with your
My
nephew,
family.
your family. You don't change diapers, though. Is that correct? Or you
I
do?
did, I've done one.
You did one diaper. Good for you.
I think I did it right.
No, I'm so silly. I got to really look because I have to look at diapers. Sometimes I go, what is that, front or back? Whatever. All right.
Good
Everybody,
night, everybody.
thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next time, we're going to see if Lauren will join us. So it's been awesome to see everybody. Subscribe. Bye bye. Good night. See you for our first show, January 9th. We're coming out of the pocket. January 9th. We're going live on the Friday Power Lunch. See you then.